What is going on, folks? Reggie Ray here from the Rated R Ranch, and it is 5:30 in the afternoon on a Friday, and it is already pretty much dark outside. And to be really honest with you, I've been completely bored being stuck inside. I feel like at some point in time, I'm going to need to get some drop lights set up out there at the Rated R Ranch. So I've been thinking about things that I might be able to do when I'm not able to go out there and work, other than sitting around and watching TV or YouTube. Don't get me wrong. I like to watch a lot of YouTube, and again, appreciate everybody that's been watching my videos on YouTube. I will be going out to the ranch tomorrow morning, Saturday. I'm hoping to get some stuff done, but in the meantime, pretty much ever since I've been working out there, and especially early on when I basically had just a couple tools that I was using, I thought to myself, how did the indigenous people do this way back in the day before electric sawzalls and all the fancy machinery and tools that we have today? So I got with Grok, and it basically broke down what they would normally do to clear out some areas. And so I was going to go ahead and walk you through some of that in case anybody was interested. So according to Grok, it is saying late winter girdling. In late winter, indigenous people use stone axes and celts to remove bands of bark 6 to 12 inches wide around the base of trees like oaks and hickories. This cuts off nutrients flow, killing the tree over 1 to 2 seasons without immediately felling. Useful trees, such as, for nuts, were spared, and the process prepared the area for late steps while minimizing effort. And they kind of put me a picture together here. So it looks like they cut this big band, and from what I understand, it's down past the green that you will see when like a tree gets stripped. So you go all the way down past that, open up this area here, 6 to 12 inches wide, it says, and around the base of the trees. So, according to this, it cuts off nutrients flow, killing the tree over 1 to 2 seasons without immediate failing. So that seems like, again, we today everything's about this, instant gratification. And back then they didn't really have that luxury. So it sounds to me like had to start a couple seasons early so that they were basically getting what they needed out of those trees a couple seasons down the road. So the next step, it says that early spring ring fire controlled burn. Once the underbrush dried, a controlled fire was set in a ring around the targeted areas on a dry, low wind day. So I'm actually looking for a dry, low wind day, or at least maybe a little bit moist from some rain or whatever. But so I can get some wood burned off out there at the ranch. I'm needing to do that soon. So this says using torches made from pitch, pine, or birch bark, the fire cleared brush, small trees, and debris, leaving nutrient-rich ash to fertilize the soil. This step also attracted game animals and prevented large wildfires. I think the interesting part about that is this step also attracted game animals. We use our corn feeders and In some cases, pumpkins and all kinds of other stuff to apples to bait animals in. And it sounds to me like that once you do something like this, once you do a controlled burn, it leaves nutrient rich ash to fertilize the soil. So that attracts game animals and prevents larger wildfires. I think that's pretty cool to know. And again, this is all stuff that we should be able to do without modern equipment. And who knows, folks? We could be coming to a time, hopefully not in our lifetimes, but we may have to go back to some of these procedures at some point in time if the world keeps going the way it's going. So, all right, now step 3 says summer dead topple. Okay, so summary: after trees died from girdling, communal teams used long sapling levers, bone wedges, or rawhide ropes to push or pull them down. Fallen trunks were often left as nurse logs to decompose any enriched soil or repurpose the tools, wares, or structures. This step opened the canopy for sunlight without heavy chopping. So I'm gonna be honest, I'm trying to see it, trying to figure out exactly what they've got going on, but fallen trunks were often left as nurse logs to decompose and enrich soil. So I'm wondering if they used it almost like a compost. The actual fallen trunk was used as some sort of like a compost to decompose and enrich soil, or repurposed for tools, wares, or structures. Okay. So again, I mean, it sounds like the indigenous people, they used every single part of the tree that they toppled over and tried to put it to use in some other manner, which again I think is something we kind of lost track of somewhere along the line, and we seem to be a pretty wasteful society nowadays. Step 4: in the fall, root burn and scrape. So summary says remaining stumps and roots were addressed by drilling holes with fire bows and filling them with embers to burn slowly overnight, weakening the structure. Shell or antler tools were then used to scrape away charred roots and level the ground, creating mounds of fertile soil mixed with ash. Sorry, the neighbors have decided to start shooting fireworks. And it seems like I'm always dealing with things blowing up around me. So, okay, let's go back to this here. Remaining stumps and roots were addressed by drilling holes with fire bows and filling them with ember to burn slowly overnight, weakening the structure. Shells and antler tools were then used to scrape away charred roots and level the ground, creating mounds. So, to a degree, it's again, I have a sawzall, which they didn't have back then, but it kind of sounds to me like they would put a hole in the stump, burn it out, and then come back and kind of clear out the rooting system as they were kind of burned out and dying away. So that's pretty good to know. That could be something I try down there at the ranch because I really don't. I think the biggest problem I have right now, as far as cutting down some of the bigger trees to open up some more room, is I don't want to have to dig out a ton of stumps with my shovel and sawzall. So this could be something that I try at some point in time, is to maybe drill a couple holes in it and see if I can slowly burn them out over time and get rid of a lot of that rooting system that's coming out of it, because there it seems like everything is connected. Okay, so number 5 is planting, and this says 3 sisters. Summary: in the cleared ash enriched field, crops were planted in hills 3 feet apart using the Three Sisters method: corn for structure, beans for nitrogen fixing vines that climb the corn. Beans for nitrogen fixing vines that climb the corn. I have no idea what that means. And again, I've never really been a farmer. So if you know, leave it in the comments there and we'll work through this. But so then it says, and squash for ground cover to suppress weeds and retain moisture. I like the suppressing weeds part for sure, because I definitely have a lot of weeds out there. No plowing was needed. This companion planting sustained the soil. Let me do that again. No plowing was needed. This companion planting sustained the soil and yielded enough for a small family per acre. Again, folks, I think this is all good information that, if nothing else, I want to try to apply some of it out there, because eventually I will find me an area where I'm going to start doing some planting and trying to grow some stuff. And so what it seems to me is these Three Sisters, it kind of, if you do it in the right order, it'll actually help keep the area cleaned up, and you sustain and yield enough for a small family per acre. So that's pretty cool. And so here's a little picture that they came up with. I think for right now, that is the end of this conversation that I had with Grok. But here we got 5 steps in basically clearing land. And this, again, this is what the indigenous people did back in the day. So this says step-by-step guide to indigenous land clearing methods pre-1750 North America. The guide outlines the typical workflow for indigenous groups in the eastern woodlands. I cannot say that name right there. Not even going to try. Or Cherokee. I can say Cherokee. To clear about 1 acre of land for agriculture. It relies on seasonal timing, fire, and simple tools like stone, celts. I say celts. Grok said it different. That's all right. Shell hose, a wooden lever, or a wooden levers. Levers. Okay. The process is sustainable, enriching the soil with ash and allowing fields to rotate every 10 to 15 years. Okay, so anyway, I have no idea if this little video is going to interest anyone. It lasted about 13 and a half minutes. So I know I kind of messed up a few times, but this kind of stuff is what I may start doing, because again, I always kind of, when I'm out there, say to myself, boy, this would have been really hard back in the day, getting all this land cleared out without all these fancy tools and stuff. But I also have one on the Europeans, how they were doing it about the same time as this little guide here, pre-1750. And I'll probably do another video on that. I don't know, maybe later on tonight. Like I said, it's 20 minutes till 6 and I'm bored. I wish I could get out and go do some work right now at the ranch, but I'm tired of sitting on the couch and watching TV. So for any of you that did enjoy this video, let me know down in the comments. And if you have anything to add to this, feel free to add to it. If there's something in here you don't feel was right, or something that they missed, let me know. Because again, I think this is good information for anybody who might be, even like me, trying to save money and not have to go out and buy a bunch of machinery. For those that checked in, I appreciate you watching. I'll be down at the ranch tomorrow, hopefully all day. And I'm really hoping to go ahead and get out there Saturday and Sunday this weekend. I'm just too bored being locked up in the house, once it gets dark. But hope everybody's having a great Friday night, and we will catch you next time. Later.